Welcome back, everybody. This is Michael here at Game Changerz Salt Lake, and this is Retro Game Scene. It's our show where we chat with cool and interesting people in the retro gaming community, and for the second half, we make them play a game. Today's guest is Gabe Gerrard. How's it going, Gabe?
Fantastic. Happy to be here.
Heck yeah, man. Happy to have you. So Gabe is a hardcore collector, very avid collector of a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and he's the founder of the Utah Retro Gamers, which is basically the genesis of the retro gaming community coming together here in Utah. So how you been, man?
I've been accused of those things for sure. I've been fantastic. A little bit out of the retro game scene, but definitely always have my fingers somewhere in retro games. I'm not going to pass a retro game store and not look.
Yeah, fair enough, man.
Absolutely.
Do you want to talk a little bit about URG, like Utah Retro Gamers, and kind of what it is?
Sure, absolutely. So I have a tendency in my life to, when I find something I love, that I like to bring people together, and it is a curse.
It's a good curse.
So rewind to about 11 years ago. I had owned many collections over the years, smaller collections. I had owned, when I first got married in 2002, our only way to check our email was on my Dreamcast.
Nice.
When I left on my LDS mission, I had sold a big Sega CD collection. I had sold a TurboGrafx collection that was decent because I was buying those things for super cheap in 1998, 99 because everybody wanted N64.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but, they still do, honestly.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know why. Never have I ever went, gotta have some N64.
It's just the generation. I think people who grew up playing 64 are finally hitting that age. Well, I mean, they have been for a while now.
For the last 5 years, I think. 64 is kind of, So 2014, I had a TurboGrafx in a couple games. I had a Genesis, a couple games, and I had a Nintendo and 7 games on the Nintendo. I was like in an all-time low.
Oh, man.
And one day I got a bug in my butt that I had to have a copy of Excitebike that same day. And I had found an advertisement on our local classifieds where a gentleman had a copy of Excitebike and he was asking $7 for it. And I went and made an appointment and went and visited him, another person that I'd assume will probably end up on this podcast at some point, Brian Cragen. But
I'm hoping to get him on.
I think a lot of people, their first dip into the getting into serious collecting started at Cragen's house because I got there and he had hundreds of games for sale. And within a month, I had decided I was going to go for 100 Nintendo games. And then within a couple months, I decided a full set. And that's when I started Utah Retro Gamers. There's communities in retro gaming. There's big communities. Almost every major city's got some kind of a group, but none of them necessarily had what we had here with Utah Retro Gamers, wherein instead of just being people that collect, who almost, in a lot of places, they almost see each other as enemies because they're the ones.
Right, competition.
Competition to who's got the best. And it's not even who's got the best collection. It's who can get their hands on the what for the cheapest.
Right, or who's going to be the one to get this deal when it comes up.
And instead of that, I started Utah Retro Gamers as let's do game nights at my house. Let's do everybody bring their stuff. Everybody sell. Let's all make each other deals. Let's all make.
It's a social group as opposed to like a
exactly,
business.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what it always, and let's support local businesses as well. Like yours, since you took over Game Changerz, I want to say it was Game Changerz, but it just barely come out of being Play and Trade when I first started going in there.
I started working there around that time, and then I bought it in 2016. But I remember when I was still just an employee there, you came in multiple times and chatted me up and invited me to your house to play video games with strangers, and I was like, all right.
I think that's what we were known for, and people all over the world knew Utah Retro Gamers for that. There was nights where we had 65 people, and my house isn't huge. The only video that exists on YouTube of 8 TVs with 8 GameCubes connected was 16 people actually playing Double Dash. There's videos of people having it hooked up, but
I was there for that. Yeah, it was a good time.
There's not videos of actually 16 people, and there was more people watching. We had everybody actually playing at one time.
And you did the Saturn Bomberman with was that 16 players as well?
We did Saturn Bomberman. We did, and we used to do all sorts of different competitions where you'd have to play Rock Band. I remember one night we all played Street Fighter Turbo on 3DO, which is by far the superior version of Street Fighter.
You think so?
Absolutely.
It's the soundtrack, right?
Well, you get the visuals that's beautiful, and the soundtrack sounds better because it's CD. So
right, you get the Red Book audio.
Speedy fast.
That's fair.
Given the 3DO's buttons aren't necessarily the best for fighting games, but
I had a lot of good times at your game nights, and I remember the first one I went to, I think, was the last one before you moved into your new house.
you went to an orange carpet.
Yeah, one.
I love that.
Just
We
one
started
of those.
it at our old house, and it was a very nice house. Someone had spent a lot of money on that house in the 1970s, and it had the finest shag carpet and the finest everything gold in the
Dude, I love
bathrooms
shag
and stuff like
carpet.
that. But yeah, once we moved to the new house, it definitely blew up. And moving into the new house was quite the trick, because I think at the time I had 4 arcade machines and 2 kiosks. And
Right, well, and it's like a 3-story thing, right? It's a
yeah,
garden
you
level.
walk in and there's the big room, and then you go upstairs to where everybody mingles in the kitchen. Then downstairs is where all my gaming stuff was, and then we had
That couldn't have
the
been easy
front-
to move
the-
all the stuff in and out.
man, and during game nights, the front yards were. I mean,
Oh,
we
yeah.
had a convention worth of stuff.
I
There was
think so.
there was nights where $10,000 in games exchanged hands or
at,
more.
At least.
Star
yeah.
Fox Weekend was
Oh.
sold. Little Samson sold multiple times in my front yard, and I mean everything.
Yeah. No, I remember
It was-
I tried buying and selling stuff at the game nights a few times, and I found that I would get a little too drunk and make bad decisions. So I went to just buying stuff. So at least I'm not.
It was definitely a thing in our friend group where wait till Gabe gets drunk and then buy Saturn games for pennies on the dollar. So, yeah, that definitely happened. But and I also had the negative thing where I remember there was a well-known member of our community, and he had a copy of RoboLest. And I was like, dude, what are you asking for RoboLest? And he's like, I don't want to sell it to you because I'm your friend and I know what you do for the community, and I know I should give you a better deal.
He wants to sell it
Which
for more.
a lot of people can accuse me of a lot of things, but no one can ever say that I ever gave him a bum deal. I have always been a priced accordingly, especially when it comes to local. And I understand the place where stores compare to collectors, and I've always been of the belief that if you are selling locally person to person, you should be at 85% of what
a store
eBay
would be,
or a store would be, because you are not paying for the brick and mortar, you're not paying your eBay fees, you're not having the hassle of shipping it. So I've always been a big believer in that as well.
Yeah, that's
But we built a rad community. We had so
for sure,
many
man.
wild nights, and I feel bad that it hasn't happened recently. But I mean, as recently as last year, there was 50 people at my house. Everybody still loves it.
Yeah, your game nights have been fantastic. Do you have any plans to do any more in the future? Or
I
what
would
do you
love
think?
to do some. There's some conventions type things. Tracy's got his thing going on up at the Davis Convention Center that he's been doing for a couple of years now.
The Utah Retro Gaming
and
Expo.
then Jeff. We'll leave that name out of it, but yeah,
Okay.
that name definitely was somebody else's idea first. But
right.
if I would have been asked for it, they could have taken it. And Urge sounds way better than URGX, but whatever.
It does. Urge sounds way better, and
I agree.
It sounds a lot better than the
I actually
Portland
pitched
Retro
freaking
Purge.
10 years ago plus. I sat down with big investors, like a Shark Tank situation, and pitched but that's not my specialty. I'm a collector. I have
enough.
obsessive compulsive disorder, and collecting is a outlet for such.
Yeah, I know you were thinking about doing the convention yourself. Did that just kind of fall through?
I'm really good at throwing parties. I'm not good at throwing conventions.
It's a different skill set.
And it's not that I didn't, because I had other people that were willing to do it. Jake, who ran Salt Lake Gaming Con for a long time and was a big supporter. Jake, we never paid for a booth at Salt Lake Gaming Con. And that was we had big $2,000 booth space, but he saw us as an asset where people, because when we did Salt Lake Gaming Con, we didn't just sell stuff. We set up a museum of everything. We had where else are you going to go to a convention and see a Pippin on display or
I don't think I've ever
half
seen
the
one,
half the handhelds that I had. And I think at one point there's a guy in California, and it went back and forth between he and I, where cartridge-based handhelds from 1984 to now.
Like the Hyperduck and all that?
The Mega Duck, and the
Duck, that's-
Cougar
yeah.
Boy, and it got to the point where I was buying smoke-smelling handhelds that were made for girls, and they were only sold in Albania in 2001.
That rabbit hole goes deep,
Very deep.
especially when you start going international.
We had that stuff on display, and it was super cool. Sorry, I'm all over the place. Video games are kind of an all over the place thing, though.
That's true, man. Well, it's okay. We don't have like a an agenda we have to hit. I'm just, I'm just happy to be chatting about URG and the Utah
Retro
scene.
Gamers was a very interesting. It's over 1,300 people still.
Yeah, it's a big group.
There was during COVID. We didn't know if we could throw game nights, and
I feel like he would have gotten busted up. Yeah.
Oh, we threw one or two, and people were mad at me for doing it. And then there was other rifts in the community, and so they kind of fell off. And then in April 2021, I sold 95% of my collection.
I remember that. You sold it to
Doug Hoyabu, Doug and Nicole down in Las Vegas, who own Retro City Games in Las Vegas.
That's right.
But what it did for them was unexpected because people didn't know that stores out there could buy entire collections.
Mm-hmm. And
so within a year from then, they had bought multiple
huge collections,
big collections, big as mine, or if not bigger. What's great is a lot of my stuff still exists in Las Vegas.
Fair.
Some of my stuff made it to the Video Game Museum in Texas, which is fantastic. If you watch Metal Jesus, there's videos of Metal Jesus digging through the stuff in Las Vegas going, what is this? And it's all my old handhelds and stuff because it's pretty rare to find a backlit Gamecom or whatever. Well, I had the stuff
that took them from like a one location business to like a 2 or 3 now, right?
They have 2 locations. They have 2 big stores. They just opened a new big store at the Premium Outlets. Shout out to Doug and Nicole. They're fantastic people. And they've always worked with other stores friendly, which is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
And they've traveled all over the country.
I've bought tons of like broken consoles off of them for dirt cheap, and then just fixed them up because they don't really do the repairs down there.
Right.
And he's always been a delight to work with.
And I broke bread with those guys in Portland, in Phoenix, in Vegas, in Milwaukee, and all over the place. And
he does a lot of the conventions as well, right?
He does a lot of the conventions.
Do you know if he's coming to this next Utah one?
He is going to be up here at the end of the month. I just got a message, which is good because Doug needs to get. I have a couple of PlayStation 2
end of the month
exercise bikes.
End of the month is good. Do you know if he's coming up for the convention though?
He's coming up for the convention that Jeff's doing. The one that
the Galaxy of Games.
The Galaxy of Games one that's happening at the State Fair Park. I believe the weekend of the 27th to the 30th. They're coming up for that one. I don't know if they're coming up for Tracy's.
The other one's a ways out. I know Tracy's sold out really fast last year.
Good for him. I love that. And I know that Tracy also doesn't charge a lot for entry and that he donates a lot of the money that he makes from it. Tracy's a good guy. True. I've known Tracy for 15 years, much longer than I've been in the retro community. I met Tracy long time ago because Huff and Chris and him they were going to make a game for Xbox.
Oh, right on, man.
Called Minus World. Oh,
were they really?
Yeah, you were the devil trying to escape heaven.
Okay.
And that's a deep cut because only pretty much Chris, Huff, Russell, and Tracy know about that game, and that's where Minus World came from. That was the name of their Xbox game.
That's wild, man. And yeah, if I had to pick one word to describe Tracy, it would probably be sweetheart. That guy he's just an absolute.
I miss him making YouTube videos. If you can find his old videos, where he just does this dry read. He's like, we're going to open a case of games today. It looks like this one's, and it is the funniest thing in the entire world to watch because that he's got a sense of humor. The guy's got a Triforce in the floor of his kitchen.
That's awesome.
The concrete floor or the tiles of his kitchen have got a Triforce in it. Tracy's a super good guy.
Dude, when I first met him and started chatting with him, I was under the impression that he did not like me at all. But
because he's so dry, you never know. You can't get a read on Tracy.
You know what though? The more that I get to know him, the more I realize that is just his speaking style. That is just how he is.
And that was a big part of building my collection. Was I feel like I had that relationship with pretty much every game store owner in Utah.
For sure.
Even the ones that other people might not have been super cool with. I was cool with them, and I think that helped me not only get deals, but that I just had friendships with everybody.
Well, it's interesting because there's some game stores that are really easy to make friends with, and some of them that are not so easy to make friends with. But there's I think we counted on the last episode. There's 13 in the Valley right now between Provo and Ogden. 13 that I know of.
I know at least one that would probably be on the not easy list. I know, and some of them you have to know the people and you have to put in the time and effort. I know that Game Grid's got a lot of stores, but the North Ogden one is the place to be. At least it used to be. I used to be the first call whenever they'd get in 30 Saturn games or something like that. And Jason and I used to go up and kill it, and it was fantastic. Man, a lot of good times chasing hunting games, because I call it hunting because people asked how I built my collection. Because I was first person in Utah to own every NES, or every original NES title, all 765.
Yeah, you full setted it before anybody.
I full setted it, and I full setted it shy of 3 years, and I only bought 17 games off of eBay or Amazon.
I think that I know of right now, there's maybe only 2 or 3 people tops that have full NES sets.
Yeah. And
correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, guys.
I know Tracy had it. I think he broke it up. I know Kyle's got one. Jason's got one.
Yeah, Jason and Kyle were the ones I was thinking of.
Yeah, I can't think of anybody else. And I never got a stadium events, and I never counted that as something I had to have, as it was only sold for one day. But I did have.
I'm curious though, how many people are like hiding a full set that we just don't know about in the area?
It'd be tough.
I
think is well. It might not be tough now, but it was definitely tough when I was going for my set, because long before I met Jason, I heard rumors of this big muscly redheaded guy that lived in Layton that was going for a full set, and he was way ahead of me. And I remember when I hit 700, I was before he hit 700, because 675 is a full set, but 765 is a full set, including all the color dreams, and all Comerica and stuff like that. The unlicensed stuff, which
does Tengen count as licensed?
No, but it's considered unlicensed just because the cards aren't.
That's a fun story. You know the full
some of the of course they do. Some of the Tengen, like the Pac-Man's considered part of the full set and not full set, because you get both cards as long as it's a gray card.
Right.
Gray card's full set, not gray card, not full set.
So does that mean Tengen Tetris doesn't count?
Absolutely. That's not considered in the 675 of a full set.
So it's in the sevens.
Yeah, it's in the 765.
765. Okay.
And
but you hit the full 765 though.
Yeah, I hit the full 765 besides stadium events. And
I don't know if you can count stadium events.
And I also had a lot of, I had weird bootlegs, and I had Japanese games, and I had Korean games, and I had games, the black and gold cards that went into the machines and hotels in Japan. And it wasn't like I only had 765 Nintendo games. I had, when I offloaded, I kept probably close to 100, and then I probably sold 900 Nintendo carts.
So which ones did you keep? Like the sentimental ones?
The sentimental ones, the ones that I knew I would play, the ones that had a story, ones that nobody else would really care about. Like I have a sealed copy of Go-Go 13 still, because when I was 11 years old, I paid $7 at a yard sale for Go-Go 13, and I used to play that game. Play that game like mad. Guerrilla War, which I think is the most underrated game in the history of the world, because that is the most fun game to run through. Which Guerrilla War loses, last time I checked, $6 or $9.
Yeah, it's not an expensive game.
Not an expensive game, but it's fantastic, and it's SNK at its finest. And if you have seizures, you probably don't want to run through it. Plus, you get the cool backstory of it being in Japan, being called Guevara, because you actually play as Castro and Che Guevara, which is fantastic.
That's awesome.
I've still got my Japanese copy of it too.
I love SNK stuff. That when they put out Crystallis on the NES, that's like one of my top games of all time.
When I first started going after the NES set, and I recommend this to anybody who collects any system. Find a publisher. Don't go Atlas, because that's just going to cost you a lot of money.
Oh my God!
But go after the Tengen games, or go after SNK. Was the first one I ever did. I think there's either 9 or 11 SNK games on the regular Nintendo.
Sounds about right.
And they all have this perfect little red line, and they look fantastic put together. Or go after the Capcom games. The purple labels all look fantastic together.
Yeah, you break the full set into individual sets.
And you get, that's how you keep the hunger to continue collecting when you have such a daunting task. Game Boy Advance, when I went for Game Boy Advance, I think Game Boy Advance is 1,024 cartridges.
Didn't you try for that and then burn out?
Well, so at 1,024 cartridges, I was going after it. And at one point, I owned 12 games that started with the word Shrek.
Ooh.
That's rough. There's a lot of, and not that they were terrible games, but there's just so many of them.
You're not going to play them all.
It was wild, but I was getting them cheap. We were going down to Phoenix, and game stores were like, we have a garbage bag in the back of Game Boy Advance games, and if you buy more than 20 of them, I'll sell them to you for 50 cents a piece. And so I was just
that's a win.
Murdering. I mean, I had I got to about 760, but I owned 1,400 cards because I had so many doubles and weird and bootlegs of Aladdin and all this other stuff. And then
the shovelware is real on those.
One day I got a call from Josh up in Oregon, and this is a story not a lot of people know. I got a call from Josh up in Oregon saying that he had an interested buyer in buying all my Game Boy Advance games.
Okay.
I said, cool, who is it?
He just called you out of the blue?
Called me out of the blue, knew I had 760, knew that I
Okay.
had more than that. And
Okay.
I had all the Pokemon. I had everything you wanted. Like I had
And you were
Astro
just-
Boy, I had Astro Boy, and I had Pocky and Rocky, and I had
filling in
all the good
garbage.
games. I was filling in the garbage, which some of the hardest stuff to find on that system is there's a Shrek, one of the video cartridges that's super hard to come by that I had, and there's Buster Bunny. There's a Buster Bunny one that's super rare on
Okay.
Game Boy Advance. But he called me and he asked me, "Do you want to sell the whole lot?" And I was like, "Yeah, who's it going to?" And he's like, "I can't tell you that."
What do you mean you can't tell me that?
I was like, "Well, who is it?" He's like, "It's a buyer in California who's asked to remain anonymous." And I'm like,
That's fishy.
I'm like, okay, well, I was in realistically, and I'll give you numbers, and I've not given numbers. When I sold my NES set was probably worth right about 25 grand.
Okay.
I was into that NES set less than 16 when I did the math on it.
So you got some pretty good deals as you were collecting.
Absolutely. I've never overpaid for a game in my entire life. But and the Game Boy Advance was even better. So I think I told him, I was like, I was into it. I did the math and I was into it too. And I think I told him he could have them all for $4,500 or $5,500.
Okay.
And he came back the next day and he's like, done. And he sent me the money quick. Josh and I have done huge number.
You think it was
Josh,
Bill Gates or something?
I know who it is.
Oh, okay.
So months later,
Can you
it
say?
came out. I can.
Am I going to get a hit for this?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Stacy Peralta, one of the creators of skateboarding as we know it, one of the original Pal Peralta, the gods of skateboarding,
Okay.
bought my entire Game Boy Advance.
Dude, that's
set.
pretty dope then. That's
Super cool. Yeah,
Really
a famous skateboarder bought my entire Game Boy Advance collection.
Dude, that's way cool.
And
So,
I love that. There's a lot of big collectors when Doug and Nicole bought my collection. They found out that it was there. And they went, ooh, because they knew that I had such weird stuff.
well, because you had already networked with most of them. They knew you by name.
Yeah. That's the thing is with other hobbies I do as well, whether it's collecting watches or scooters or whatever, I try and post in places where it gets our local scene attention. And so people knew we were doing game nights. We had people from Portland come to game nights. We had people from
we did
from
have some
Arizona.
out-of-towners
We
for
had
sure.
people from Arizona come to game night. Doug and Nicole would come from Vegas to game night. Like people showed up. People wanted what we had.
Yeah.
And
Well, because we had a real sense of community that a lot of other areas didn't really have. You know, like it's one thing to have like a lot of people collecting retro games and playing retro games in an area, but to have them all kind of like start to get to know each other and like build a sense of community through events and swap meets and game nights and things like that. That's pretty unique, I think.
I know, man. Trust me, it was. And it broke my heart to kind of walk away from it when I did, to the extent that I did, because it was exactly that. It was and it was never I wanted to be king of retro games. And it was, when I find something I love, I want to share it with everybody. I want to tell everybody. I want to stand up on my soapbox and say, "Hey, come look at this. This is cool. This is what we're doing. Come check this out. We're doing game nights. And we did arcade nights for years too.
We would meet up.
I
at the
remember when
arcades,
Ruckus was super little. Your son was super little. Sorry if I dropped his name.
It's fine.
But
we would go to Nickelmania.
We'd go to Nickelmania, and we'd have 30 people show up sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
It was couples and people bringing their kids, and we'd do night at the arcade for years. We did night at the arcade, and we just had a community that I don't think, especially when you get into some of the nerdier collections and fandoms, they actually have a strong community. Like anime has a strong community, and you get the people that do cosplay and stuff like that. And retro games, kind of the opposite, don't have that. Everybody watches Pat, and everybody watches AVGN, and everybody watches Metal Jesus, whoever. But besides that level of community, there wasn't a lot of community, and we had that here in spades, probably bigger than anywhere in the world.
Right on, man. Are you planning on like firing the game nights back up soon, or you think
I would love to fire? I get messages all the time from people that say, "Hey, when's the next game night? When would you do it? When would you do it?" And it's just, I haven't had the heart to do it. If I'm being honest,
It's just painful.
I felt betrayed by a lot of the community, Mike.
Fair.
And I put my heart and all my effort into it. And a few people really soured where it was. And if anyone who's listening who needs an apology from me, you've got it. If you need to talk to me, reach out. I am humbled when it comes to that. I am sorry for anything I ever did to anybody. Like I said, no, I don't think there's anybody in the world who can say I screwed them over on a deal on a game.
No, that's never been my experience,
or didn't welcome them into my house. And a few people really soured my experience, and it had nothing really to do with selling my collection. I was just burned out because I had finished. I was buying stuff from Albania, and I had a guy in Italy that was named Jesus who was getting his hands on underground stuff that was made by this, that, the other. And
burnout's a real problem, and a lot of collectors run into that. It's
absolutely
it's really kind of
but
hard
people
to
think
avoid.
I sold everything. I still have a beautiful PlayChoice 10 in my basement.
Nice.
I
miss
right
my
now
PlayChoice
hooked
10.
up to I have a Sony Trinitron 36-inch XBR. That's
nice.
a 1-inch thick glass on the front. That TV weighs 300 pounds. But I've got a top loader NES. I've got a Super Nintendo. I've got a Genesis. I've got a PS1, a PS2. What else do I have? I've got an MSX hooked up with original Metal Gear. I've got stuff hooked up, and I still play video games. I've got people coming over Saturday night. There's people coming over to play Dr. Mario and hang out.
That's awesome, man. So you're still keeping it alive to some degree. It's not completely dead.
Literally nowadays, as of 2 years ago, I work from home, and the former game room is my office. So literally, I face my work monitors, and I turn 90 degrees, and I am facing my Sony Trinitron XBR. So does Mario get beat every couple of weeks? Absolutely. Does Mario get beat at every one of my parties? Because that's my party trick that while inebriated, I can beat Mario Brothers in 9 minutes? Absolutely. People demand it.
Do you still have the Cruisin' USA cabinet down there?
My cabinet was a Rush.
It was a Rush.
I had a Rush, San Francisco Rush, and it was a fantastic cabinet. I do not have that anymore.
Gotcha.
That went away.
Aside from
all my kiosks went away. I had a Genesis kiosk, PS1 kiosk, PS2 kiosk. I had all the Xbox. I had original Xbox 360 and Xbox One kiosks. All that stuff went away.
Oh, man. But as far as the arcade machines,
I kept everything. I kept all my video games from Wii and newer. So I still have all my Wii, my Xbox. I have a bunch of PS2. I still got the Gaia game on PS2.
Yeah, that one's
I've got PS3. It's not forbidden, but it's kind of forbidden.
It's like gray area legally.
Yeah, it's just gray area legally.
Somebody got sued for sure on that one.
No, they got sued.
Yeah,
do you know the story?
Because one of the girls in it,
she lied about her age, and her family sued,
Mm-hmm.
and the judge decided she had used a fake ID, so they weren't financially responsible, but they were forced to pull it from the shelves.
Yeah,
and so that's what happened with that. But I originally had on long before I was collecting video games. We had friends that we'd play it, and you don't get to her until you're a solid hour into the game.
I've never played it. But it is infamous. Like whenever it comes into
and that's
store.
what I loved. I loved Choaniki. I loved the weird stuff. I owned the only prototype, the only copy of the NIV Bible on the Game Boy that existed. I got it directly from Brenda Huff, who owned
that was
Wisdom
at a Game On Expo, wasn't it? I think I was there.
Yeah.
That's the one that we went to together.
Down in Phoenix, of all people, Pat Contry came up to me and is like, "Brenda Huff's looking for you." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And she had tubs, and I had the scripts for Bible Adventures in German, hand typed. I had original faxes for how the boards were supposed to be from the engineers and stuff like that.
I remember there being some bags of parts too, right? Prototype boards and stuff.
Lots of stuff. And if you want to know, Hellraiser did exist, but she personally threw it away. And I was like, "You didn't." And she's like, "I absolutely did. It didn't represent what we wanted with the company." But Brenda Huff was so cool. And that's, and like I had
she was Wisdom Tree, right?
She owned Wisdom Tree and Color Dreams.
Both.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize
she owned them all.
Well, I didn't realize those were related. Yeah.
Oh, they're the same games.
Oh.
Half of the Wisdom Tree games are just rebadged. Sunday Funday is a rebadged color treating game as a Wisdom Tree.
Okay.
But like Thor, when in 1994, because Thor, after he won the Nintendo World Championships, Nintendo kind of kept him on and showed him off. Because he was still beating everybody at Tetris and everything else.
Fair.
And in 1994, when Star Fox came out, they flew him to Nintendo headquarters. And when he got off the plane, they gave him a shirt that was a dark blue shirt with gold threads on it, and it had the Star Fox on the back, and it said FX in gold threads on the front of
Oh,
it.
nice.
And I own that shirt. I owned.
No, you fucking
I
don't.
I have a friend who I met not through the gaming community, but he's been and he's local, and he worked for EA, and he worked for a lot of different people before, and now he currently works making games for Disney. He's the one, and he's the one who converted Harry Potter to the Switch. Like super cool wealth of knowledge. He bought his first boat when Twisted Metal came out because he was the head programmer for Twisted Metal, and he's a friend of mine.
Wait,
I have a jacket I have a Twisted Metal original programming team jacket. I have a Twisted Metal Black original programming team jacket.
Oh, nice.
Oh, so cool. I had all the cool stuff. I had neons from all over the place. I had an original Nintendo neon from the Super Nintendo era. I had a DS neon. I had a Cruisin' USA neon sign. That's probably what we were thinking about. I had a lot.
Yeah,
of
that makes me up a bit.
Neons were super fantastic. I miss having those.
Dude, I love neon signs, but they are they're finicky and delicate
and terrible, and you have to get them fixed all the time.
All the time.
I had the arcade sign. There was an arcade down in Cedar City that was open for 40 years, and people loved it. And it was beloved, and the neon sign that hung in that arcade hung in my basement for a long time.
Nice, man. Nice.
I love stuff like that. That was what I tried to get, was more of the obscure. I still have Gizmondo t-shirts.
Oh, wow.
T-shirts that were promotional t-shirts.
Gizmondo.
I was such a bit. I am still a proponent of Gizmondo. It did augmented reality.
You're
10
all
years
for it,
before the 3D or the DS did. I am all. It was crazy. You turned on the thing and it showed you a Sprite commercial. Then it pulled up a GPS to get to 7-Eleven. And when you got in 7-Eleven, it gave you a coupon for money off of your Sprite. And then you could play cool games. Console. And then you could text on it and send messages and send videos and augmented reality. Gizmondo was, but they're all sticky now.
They don't work anymore, right? They don't do all the things.
The AdSense never really caught on here. They only sold 15,000 in the United States, and they only sold on the coast. They only sold them in LA and New York.
I always get the obscure handhelds all mixed up between the Nokia Choco Taco, the Game.com.
I've got a couple. I've still got both models of Engage.
Nice. Because they had the 3G and the wireless only. Or Wi-Fi only?
There's the Taco, and then there's the one that doesn't look like a Taco.
Wait, really? There's another form factor?
Yeah.
I don't think there's
a better form factor. The original one, you had to take the battery out to switch games, which on a cell phone is a pain in the butt.
Yeah, it was like where the SIM cards would go.
The second one you don't have to.
That's a much better design.
It's still a terrible design.
Is it?
I mean, don't get it twisted. You can, and you have to have a SIM card in it. I had to go to T-Mobile, and they had found one in the bottom of a drawer somewhere. It had some crank old SIM card that worked, and they charged me. Some dude sold it. He's like, "Give me $10." I'm like, "Okay, cool." Like that's how I dealt with it. I bought stuff from people living in storage sheds. I had people scratching their neck telling me straight up they needed money for nefarious purposes, and I was cool with it. I mean, I was so hungry to collect video games. It was wild. And some of my greatest purchases have been in the last couple of years. Like 2 years ago, I shocked a lot of people, and it kind of came out of retirement. And I met a guy in a parking lot, and he had told me that he had some games, and I got there. And the top, this was a dark parking lot and a very sketchy place. His buddy jumps out of the truck and tattoos on his face, scratching his neck, and he starts yelling across the parking lot at other nefarious people in this parking lot. This was a legit scary situation. And
dude, I struggle with any of those.
He had a giant tub, and on the top row, I could see a copy of Mega Man 6 and 2 copies of Cool World.
Okay.
And I knew that there was hundreds of Nintendo games in this tub. And I said, I'll take that tub and those 2 boxes. And he goes, what about the rest? I said, let me buy these now. I'll give you $500 for these. And I got home. And on the 3rd level down of Nintendo games, there was a perfect condition bonk.
No.
There was a complete in-box Squoon, which the box and manual on Squoon's worth more than... I think the total... out. So I went back. I messaged him that same night. I was like, "Hey, no, I'll take those other ones too," because I had gotten home and I was losing my mind. I had got probably like $11,000 worth. No, like $9,000 worth of games the first day.
Right, for $500.
And for $500. And I messaged him. I was like, "I'll take the rest of them. I'll meet you with another $500." So I pulled out a savings or whatever, and I went and met him for another $500. And it wasn't as good, but the total I made off of that guy, and he has a weird name, but I won't repeat it because he's very nefarious person for sure. For sure. I bought $17,500 worth of games.
Okay.
for $1,500.
That's bananas,
And
my
I
dude.
flipped them within 48 hours to Doug for about 9,500.
So how
So
do
I
you
made
find
AGs.
how do you find good deals like that? Because I've had very, very rarely good experiences on KSL and Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. I have been scammed pretty hard on Facebook Marketplace before.
If
I've never found a good deal yard selling.
If there is less than 1,000 people who have my personal phone number in their phone under Gabe Games, I'd be shocked. Because everywhere in the world, I printed out URG business cards and
You just
hand
tell
them to
people, hey,
everybody.
call
I told
me if something
everybody,
comes up.
everybody. I'd go to and I've done yard sales for years and years and estate sales on when it's too cold for yard sales. But
Yeah.
for years and years I did that, and you go, and a lot of times you pull up and you see baby stuff for 10 yard sales in a row, but you got to ask those people, hey, you don't have any old video games? I think I got some Atari, and they pull it up, and it turns out to be just a huge Super Nintendo collection that they call Atari. I think I got the paddles. Oh man, I hate when people call controllers paddles.
Me too, man, a little bit. But I've heard that advice before. Like, you got to ask them if they have video games. And every yard sale I've ever gone to, I've always asked, do you guys have any video games hiding in the back? And every single time they've either already got them out and they're asking more than I sell them for, or they don't have any at all.
There was a point where myself, Matt, and Sean were all hunting yard sales hard. Like we were 5 hoursing every weekend, and
5 hours a weekend,
5 hours every week, every Saturday morning. We were going from 7 to noon every.
So that's the trick.
7
then,
to noon.
is you just
Well,
do
but it got
quantity.
to the point where we were stepping on each other's toes.
Right.
To a point where I went, okay, I'm going to go down this street. I'm going to go down to this street, and then I'm going to work my way back.
Just break out a map.
I'm going to be here.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I'm going to be here. You go find somewhere else, and they would, and it was a deal. Like they agreed, and I didn't trespass on their yard sale area, and they didn't come on mine because it didn't make sense because we were just shooting each other in the foot and wasting each other's time, and so it worked really well. I still use that same, and I flip all sorts of crap on eBay. I've sold GI Joes, and that's the other thing. I have friends in the GI Joe community where, because I'm looking for retro games, there's GI Joes where I look.
But for the most part,
so they find video games. Because they're looking for GI Joes and there's video games there. They're like, hey, I got all this Nintendo stuff. And I go, oh, well, I'm at this and I just found an SR-71. So mixing with other communities as well has been a huge find for me.
But you would say it's all about volume, like the amount of times you get out there, and getting your personal number out in people's hands, really?
And being willing to buy everything. Because so many times I've seen just CD holders from the 90s just filled with PS1 or original Xbox games.
There's a lot of bulk out there.
And it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. And telling people, hey, your stuff's not worth anything. You got to go, hey, there's something there. And you go meet them and you give them $20 for 100 games. And then you say, hey, do you know anybody else? Oh, yeah, my Uncle Tim. Uncle Tim's got, he's got everything. Cool. Give Uncle Tim my number. And then Uncle Tim hooks me up and I buy. So do you remember man, there was somebody in the community who had a connection at a recycler where they were dealing with recycled and like old computer monitors and stuff.
That's where one of my PVMs came from.
But I bought at one time in one day, I think I bought 115 Game Boy Pocket colors. Game Boy Pockets and Game Boy Colors.
Okay.
And there was Pokemons mixed in there.
I
there was
remember
every
that.
color of the rainbow.
Yeah.
I had them, it barely fit on my king size bed.
I think I came and looked through it, didn't I? At one
probably.
point. Yeah.
I loved it. I sold a bunch of game night too. And like I said, I sold them for half off, but I never I always gave good deals, but I never lost money. Not once. Never once.
That's a skill that I think a lot of people wish they had, is the networking that you can do, because
it is a curse. It's terrible.
Well, the traditional methods for looking for deals are basically all overcrowded right now. If you go on KSL and you see anything,
unless you're the first person,
right. If you see anything for less than price charting, then I guarantee the guy's already gotten 15 text messages from 10 different people about it. And, if you work out a deal and they're like, okay, come get it, there's still a 50-50 shot that somebody snipes it on your way there. Yeah. So that's a bust.
Been there. I've had people, and you can't get mad at people because at the end of the day, it's their stuff and their money.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've reached that in the last couple of years mindset, because I've sold people were going to complete a full set of GameCube or PS2, and I sold it to them for pennies because I wanted to help a friend. And then 3 months later down the road, they're offing at full price charting to people, and I'd be like, oh, that stings a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's once I sell it, it's out of my hands. I shouldn't be mad about it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a good
mindset.
That's a good mindset to have.
I'm a lot more chill than I used to be. When I was at my peak of game hunting and game collecting, I was a lot more uptight of a person, and in general in my entire life. And I think that nowadays I'm a lot more chill and a lot more.
Yeah,
I just want everybody to be happy. That's all I want.
I know at the peak of game nights, I think the way I described you to people was that you were always at a 10 energy wise. Like,
I was a host. I'm a host for sure.
Yeah, like if you're being super friendly, you're going to be 10 out of 10 super friendly. And if you're pissed off about something, you're going to be 10 out of 10 pissed off about it.
I hope I'm not that way anymore. But yeah, like I was telling you, I started into the retro scooter community about 1.5 years ago, and within 6 months I was president of the local club, and
it's just in your blood.
I can't stay away from being the host / leader, and I love it. I love being the nurturer. I love being the curator of a community. Are we gonna play some Nintendo?
We are past our starting time for this.
I know.
So let's go ahead.
I apologize. I get running. Hopefully it's good though.
It's fine, man.
Like I said, anybody ever wants to talk video games, hit me up. I'm still here.
Well, I mean, that's the whole point of the show.
Come sit in my basement.
But we're gonna keep talking while we play, though.
Okay.
So we've got Mario Brothers 3 today, but there's 2 different versions. We're gonna put it up there for the camera.
Ooh, he's got a left bros.
Anybody know the difference?
He's got a left bros.
Let's see. This one is a Democrat and this one's a Republican, I think. Is that how that works?
Yeah, left and right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So
I don't know. I know a lot of. We won't go politics.
They're both the same game, but they did the labels differently. Do you know, was the left version the earlier or the later, or how?
The left was the earlier.
Yeah, and then they upgraded their branding rules and moved it over to the right. And I guess for some reason because the left one's less common, it sells for a reasonable amount more. It goes up from like $20 to like 30 or something like that.
If you've got it complete in box or a sealed left,
sealed
left, it goes astronomical.
That's fair. That's fair, because those don't exist.
A sealed right versus a sealed left is a huge difference in value. And I always told people that. I was like, you don't want a gold cart Zelda. You want the gray cart Zelda.
You want the gray one because
it's
the gray one's
way
harder
less
to find.
common. Way less common. Or Metroid, same thing. You want the yellow label Metroid. You don't want the original label Metroid. You want the
I think the yellow label. I think the yellow label looks way better.
I agree. Absolutely. Better. Or Blades of Steel's got a couple different labels.
For sure. A lot of people are really picky about label variants and trying to collect all of them. I've never been that guy, but you have to
I've been down that road a little bit, but I tried to there's so many avenues, and find your thing. If you're into,
I've had to skew them differently though.
Yeah, absolutely.
And same thing with Black Label versus Greatest Hits on PlayStation. You list them as separate items now.
Yeah, well, within reason, because which is funny because Black Labels are usually worth more, but they're absolutely the most common. They sold always. 1 million copies. That's why they made the. That's why it was there.
All right, so that's your controller. I'm gonna be Luigi. Let's turn on the sound here.
You're gonna make me play Mario.
Yeah. Do you mind if I do the thing on level 2? Is that okay?
That's perfectly fine.
I think it's level 2 that has it. Yeah, level 2 has the life thing.
So I was not raised as a gamer. I was raised with my Nintendo being hidden in a towel closet, all except for 2 weeks of summer vacation. My Nintendo was not accessible.
Just because of grades and concerns?
Not. It just wasn't a thing. But
okay.
I had a neighbor named Eric DeWall, and Eric DeWall was rich because they had a drawer at his house that had 100 Nintendo games, and that was in 1991, 92, 100 Nintendo games. That was a big investment.
110%. That was the cool kid.
That was a big investment, and it was also, that was just a thing. But I had limited. I think I had probably maybe 10 Nintendo games. I had Fester's Quest because for Christmas I had gotten a copy of Captain Skyhawk for Christmas, and Captain Skyhawk is a hot garbage game.
Yeah, and it's like a $5 to $7 game.
It's a hot. At one point, I owned 30 copies of it just because.
Okay. I probably have 10 right now.
And so Captain Skyhawk I hated it, and I had spent $55 of my 10-year-old money on Captain Skyhawk.
Right, because when they come out, they're the
they
same
were
price.
55. Yeah, they were
$55.
$55.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had $6 left to my name, and my parents took me down to Kmart in Woods Cross, and I bought Fester's Quest for $6, and I played the hell out of some Fester's Quest. That's a tough game. Fester's Quest, rough, tough game. Super fun. I always felt like the engine for Fester's Quest didn't belong on Fester's Quest, because why would Fester have 5 different weapons and laser whips and stuff like that? Like there was cool Wolfenstein-ish graphics and stuff.
Bro, I've got a whole half a second of input lag here, and I'm gonna try to do the infinite life glitch. Oh my god, I'm gonna just never mind.
I had Major League Baseball was the first game I ever owned. The
Major League Baseball,
the LGN.
LGN, okay.
Major League Baseball, which I still stand. That's one of the better baseball games. It's better than RBI, I think.
Okay.
So my grandmother, the Christmas we got our Nintendo on Christmas Eve, shows up at our house, and she gives us Major League Baseball on NES, and I was in tears. So I was like, Grandma, we don't have a Nintendo. And she's like, oh, I didn't know. I thought you had a Nintendo. And I was completely oblivious. And the next morning, Santa brought us a Nintendo.
Oh, man. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. So I played a lot of Major League Baseball. Off-road was always a favorite. Excite Bike. I have an Excite Bike tattoo.
Nice.
Because I love motorcycles, and I think pretty much everyone within 10 years of my age, that was the first motorcycle they ever rode was the Excite Bike. Was the Excite Bike motorcycle, which is rad. I'm pretty good. I don't know anybody who can beat me at the first race of Excite Bike.
I've never tried it, but or I've never tried to beat you at it. I've played Excite Bike.
Yeah.
I used to have it on the Play Choice 10.
I've got it on my Play Choice 10.
Nice. I miss my Play Choice so much, man. When I closed down the Orem store, I sold a good chunk of what was in it to Bronson before he opened up Retro Game Vault. And, I figured, the Play Choice cabinet would be, it would be in a good place, it would be taken care of. I would, there's nobody I would rather have my Play Choice 10 than Bronson.
My Play Choice 10 cabinet was in a very strange secondhand store up in the ghetto in Ogden.
Mm-hmm.
And I traded him a complete in-box FZ1 3DO.
Nice.
And it had the $699 price tag on it. It's the only one I've ever seen that still had the originals. Because the guy who started 3DO denied that it was ever $699. Oh. They dropped the price because they realized it was too high. They dropped it to $399.
How long was it out before they dropped it?
Unknown. If you look, he absolutely denied it was ever $699. But I still have pictures of my price tag that was
Mandela effect then.
That said $699. I have pictures of it. Well, he just denied it because it was a foolish move to try and sell a video game system for $699.
Well, back then, adjusted for inflation, that's like $1,200, right?
Yeah, at least. And so I traded him that. I traded him a Nomad. I traded him but it was a Play Choice. When I was a little kid, the 7-Eleven on North Temple by the Fair Park, I used to go in there and play pro wrestling, and I'd always be Starman. And
nice.
I always wanted a Play Choice 10. Like, I always had these goals. I always wanted to have a Play Choice 10. I always wanted to own 100 Nintendo games, which
mission accomplished.
I met both of those pretty well.
Okay, this is where they get the whistle, right?
Shh, you don't need to tell me that. Come on, brother.
Right.
I saw The Wizard in the theater at Valley Fair when Valley Fair Mall still had the new movie theater in town.
Nice, man.
Is when I saw that. My cousins were staying with us. I remember the day I saw The Wizard. I remember how badly I wanted a Power Glove. I still have a Power Glove.
Nice.
I remember seeing this game and knowing that anybody could get 50,000 on Double Dragon. Double Dragon's not about points. It's dumb.
It's not about points.
But I love that movie so much. And we used to do movie nights too, and you used to come to those too. We'd show.
I think I saw Karate Kid there.
Karate Kid used to do. We did The Wizard a couple times. We did the terrible Super Mario Brothers movie.
Oh yeah. Leguizamo.
So good though.
Such a
terribly awesome movie. I'd love to do another. That's what I should do. I should do a movie night.
I'm going to have to come up with a different setup for multiplayer because
you're too far behind.
I'm like a half second lagged. I can't.
That's rough.
This is straight killing me. come around there and look at the PVM.
It's a good thing we're not playing off-road, because we were playing off-road, you'd be getting stomped right now.
I mean, if I was looking at your screen, I would still be getting stomped. I'm terrible at that game.
I'm a beast at some super off-road. So much fun. If you can get a 4-player satellite and play off-road with 4 players.
That's the way, for sure.
So good. I remember when I first saw the Super Nintendo version of Super Off-Road, the good one, not the stupid Baja one. That's like first person. That one's terrible. But the one that looks just like the normal Nintendo one and has the good music on it. But it was no longer authorized by Ivan the Iron Man Stewart. That version of Off-Road, the first time I saw it on Super Nintendo was at Fred Meyer's on 9th South, which is now, I believe, Jerry Seiner.
It's Smith's,
Body
right?
Shop. No, it was a Fred Meyer's.
Oh, I mean, Fred Meyer's became Smith's.
No. It's nothing. It's a body shop now. It's that weird round building on 3rd West or 2nd West and 9th South.
Gotcha. So I
remember all my video game stuff. I remember the Kmart's. My brain works in a way where I remember where I was when all video game things happened to me. I remember going to Darren Paul's house when I was 10 and watching him play Mario, or Mega Man 3 was the first time I had access to Mega Man. I loved video games, but I just didn't have access until I was 17 and I had my own money. And Huff and I started in because everybody wanted N64, and me and him were just cleaning up. I remember going into Graywell, and they had these giant cartridges, and we're like, "What is this? What is this?" And we didn't buy them, and we missed out. We could have bought Neo Geo AES carts, loose carts, for $10, and nobody knew what they were, including us. Like we knew stuff, but we didn't know. There was no internet.
Yeah, and those are thousands of dollars for some of them.
Yeah, they were very expensive. And I've had an AES. I can't think of a console I haven't owned. That's not true. I've never owned a X8900. I've never owned.
Wait, that's the computer, isn't it? The Sharp.
Yeah.
That's not a console.
It plays video games.
You've never owned a FM Towns Marty car?
I've never owned a FM Towns Marty. I've never owned a Pippin.
Never owned a Pippin?
Never owned a Pippin. I know people that have owned Pippins for a decade and have never had a game on it. So games are so hard to come by, and I think that was why I never owned a Pippin, because
then, what's the point?
I couldn't get a single game for it. The games are so hard to come by.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to jump a half second early, and I did it.
Oh, money.
I'm adjusting. I'm
love
evolving as a person. Yeah, there is a ton of consoles that I have wanted and never owned. And at this point, now that I own a video game store, I basically can't go for them.
What do you collect?
I have a very small collection now because I don't want to constantly rob my store. And so I'll occasionally bring home a weird PS1 anime game. Like, I think the last game I brought home from the store was a Taiho Shouzo, which is like You're Under Arrest for PS1. And it's based off of an anime about lady cops.
I love me some weird ass.
Oh, one of them rides a motocompo in the first episode, though.
That rules.
Yeah,
I love that.
That's why I want one so bad.
Good luck.
Yeah, I know, right?
That ship has sailed.
The original motocompo.
Motocompos are
They're remaking
the
a
Moto
shitty
Compacto.
version.
Yeah, it's electric. They're fun. I've ridden one.
Yeah,
a Moto Compacto.
Same,
it's definitely not the same. And you had to get a Honda City with a Moto Compacto in the back would be such a.
Dude,
cool,
I would love a Honda City.
That'd be such a cool trucker.
But that'd be expensive as heck now these days, I bet. Like,
the car you can get a Honda City imported for $6,000, but
not with
getting
the
a Moto
Motocompo
Compo would probably cost you another $7,000 or $8,000 for a 50cc.
Yeah, well, it's just a little portable piece of crap scooter. It doesn't do hardly anything.
It's a motorcycle. It's got foot pegs, not floorboards. Foot pegs, not floorboards.
You're right.
I'm a big scooter.
It's hard for me to say 50cc motorcycle though.
That's fair. Super Cup's a motorcycle too.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I guess it would be. Oh no. Yeah. Because it's on both sides.
Foot pegs, not floorboards. Do
you know they have one word for all of them in Japan? It's just the same word.
Really?
They call it baiku.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
that's funny.
And the word for a bicycle is completely different.
Well, scooters were always a kind of an Italian thing. We don't need to talk about scooters.
I'm fine talking about scooters, but we gotta play some Mario while we're at it.
Yeah,
it works out. But yeah, they call it baiku for anything with a motor, and then if it's an actual bicycle, it's jitensha, which means self-drive wheel.
It's
a beautiful and confusing language.
I love it. Let's talk about TurboGrafx 16. For some reason, TurboGrafx 16 have always just fallen into my life. I'll bet I've owned 25 TurboGrafx 16s.
That's surprising because I've probably in my life only ever seen 10.
At like yard sales. One time Huff and I were in Cuba, New Mexico.
Okay.
We drove from Salt Lake to Albuquerque and back in 20 hours because Ryan and I are real dumb and exhausted.
Passionate.
We were in Cuba, New Mexico, and this guy's selling tools out in his front yard.
Okay.
And there's a turbo CD sitting on the table for $10.
No, a turbo CD.
What? Yeah,
never
like the
see
CD
those.
player. Never would you ever expect to see that.
Was it working?
$10. Yeah.
Oh,
$10.
dude, that's amazing.
TurboGrafx always just fell in my lap. For some reason, I've owned so many TurboGrafx, which is funny because so many people have never heard of TurboGrafx, and then
jump down, you jerk. He'll do it.
Maybe not.
Maybe freaking not.
Oh, come on.
Input lag. I'm blaming the input lag.
Fair.
Is there something? I can't remember if there was something in there.
Again, I've never beat Mario Brothers 3. Mario Brothers 3 is. I've come real close to beating Mario 2. I can beat Mario 1 with my eyes closed, but
yeah, I used to be able to do like the infinite life glitch on the stairs in Mario 1, and I'm so garbage at that game now. I can beat it, but it's an ordeal, and I will occasionally have to hold B to reset on the last level.
I literally 3 sheets to the wind in 9 minutes can beat that game.
That's
in one
amazing.
life. I one life that thing so fast.
Well, and on the play choice, it's even harder, isn't it? They like change it up.
Oh, I'm playing it on the NES. I'm not playing it with a dog bone, and I'm not playing it on the play choice. I can beat it on the play choice, but not.
But it is harder though, right?
Yeah, the joystick definitely makes things harder. The wildest thing I ever saw was when Nick beat Ninja Gaiden on my play choice.
Was it Ninja Gaiden 2 or 1?
Ninja Gaiden original. I don't think there is Ninja Gaiden 2 on the play choice.
Maybe not.
But when Nick beat Ninja Gaiden on play choice
with a joystick, that game is already just unbelievably hard,
and he beat it with a freaking joystick. Those were such good times. I love that. The very first game night, Mark beat Red Racer.
Okay.
Did you know Red Racer can be beat?
I did not.
I didn't know anybody who could get more than like one past San Francisco. Like the 4th race in Rad Racer, which everyone owned Rad Racer. There's a bazillion copies of Rad Racer out there.
Right.
But nobody's good at Rad Racer.
I know I'm not.
But Mark is. Mark Weiland was good at Rad Racer. Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna be having him on the show at some point.
Tell him I said hello.
We're gonna be talking retro PC stuff.
Man, you want to talk about FM Downs Marty's and weird stuff? That guy's got it.
I think I'm gonna sell him my PC 98, and he's gonna play it.
Mark's definitely got a killer collection, and he was in the community existed before I came in, before Utah Retro Gamers. Like there was people that knew each other. Mm-hmm. There had been this estate sale that everyone spoke of, that Eric and Kyle and Mark and Huff and everybody had gone to this estate sale. This guy had died and his collection had been sold off. And there was this legendary estate sale. And I think Muramasa Matt had done a yard sale.
Okay.
Not long before URG was created. And I think
was he like letting stuff go?
Well, Matt was the first person I knew that imported.
I think I need you to hit start on this.
Matt.
Yeah, he was using the proxy services way before I was.
Way before I got into collecting. I went down to his house, and that's when I was like, oh, I got to have a Super Famicom, and I got to have a Famicom, even though
Dude, he's got some Super Famicoms, too.
Dude,
he just sold off almost all of his stuff. He kept his Mega Man.
He's running his business selling clear cases in every color of the rainbow for Dreamcast and everything
the shells else. And he's got his cartridge things that he's
shout
doing
out to
too.
Matt. Matt's a fantastic person.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
And Jared, his brother, is a fantastic person as well.
Muramasa Productions, I think.
I still talk to Matt every once in a while.
So the ship's actually not at the castle anymore. You have to track it down. So you have to.
I don't remember.
Oh, it used up your
Good.
turn.
I'm all right with that.
All right.
Oh, it's over there.
Yeah, so all the things that I cleared, which is level 5 and the 2 mushrooms,
I usually warp the crap out of this game and get to 8 as soon as possible.
Well, you got to beat this one first because you can't warp to 8 without beating this, can you? Or at least you can't get the P-Wing.
Yeah. Maybe it's because I usually get a P-Wing somewhere. I don't even remember where the P-Wing is.
You get it for beating the first world.
That's right.
You beat
get
this,
the
you get the
P-Wing from the princess. Yeah, you get the letter.
Oh, no.
That's
that
right.
means I got to die here because if I get the P-Wing, we are screwed.
Why?
Because I got the input lag. I can't do this.
We don't got time. We don't have time to beat this thing anyway.
We can go straight to World 8. Only take a few minutes. I mean, we're over an hour, but if we stop at an hour 15, maybe we could squeeze it.
I'm down to try. I'm in no rush.
Fair enough.
I've recorded 40-minute podcasts. I've recorded an hour and a half.
Let's see if I can not die here. Oh, God. Oh. Gotcha, bitch.
I am impressed with lag that you just did that. That's pretty good.
Hit it early. Oh, too early.
Yeah, you got to jump at the right spot because we all did.
Yeah.
That.
You always catch it in the air. That's
got to catch it.
Unless it's your first time and you don't know.
Luigi on St. Patrick's Day. That's something.
Heck yeah, man.
Love that.
Yeah.
We're recording this on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, it's gonna be coming out a little bit later, but it is. We should go grab a drink after this. There's a place right next to here, the brewery called Level Crossing.
If I wasn't promised my wife I was making her bangers and mash as soon as I get home, I probably would. I would have planned better.
It's okay, man.
I'm totally down anytime. Anybody who's listening, you ever want to sit down and have a beer with me, let me know.
Okay, so now we got to do the thing where we do old Mario, and then it can be your turn to pee.
No idea what you're talking about.
Old Mario.
I know that. I know what old Mario.
So if I die
is,
here, now it's your turn. And you can use the whistles, the flutes, and it's the same sound from Zelda when you use the flute, right? It's yeah. There you go. Yeah, that's the same sound, I think. And then you just use it here, right? And it takes you all the way.
What killer music on this game. So good.
It's really good. It's not as good as Crystallis, though. It's got
some bangers.
Straight up killer soundtrack.
I mean, Battletoads.
That one's pretty good, too. I got the Battle Maniacs vinyl.
Seriously, the pause music on Battletoads is such a vibe.
Yeah. Oh.
This is not going to be good. I'm not good.
When they're blinking,
Mario
he's
3.
about to bust.
Yeah? Is that what he's about to do?
Yeah. Oh, I still got my shit. Yeah, we're gonna do it. Let's see if I can get enough speed here. Oh, with the input lag, I'm not gonna. Oh my god. Didn't even jump at all. Okay. Oh my god.
Rough time.
I can't do this. Oh my god. Gonna die there. Okay, gonna die here. Okay, nope. I'm still good.
If you guys don't know, I'm looking at like a 9-inch PVM that has got the best looking picture of a CRT I've seen in a long time. It is fantastic.
If you guys want to see the PVM, just go back and watch episode 1. I did a little thing of it.
This is a spicy little PVM. It's pretty fantastic.
I love PVMs, man. The colors on them are so much better.
I've got it's in the PVM range, but it's got 2 stereo speakers on the side of it in my basement, and it's like a 13-inch.
Oh, nice.
And it's got, I don't remember if it's got RGB, but maybe.
Most of them do.
Yeah.
If it's a 13-inch, I'm just about guarantee it.
But it doesn't have all the knobs and stuff. It's PVM adjacent. I don't think it was available for sale to normal people.
You know the
Might
brand?
have been like it's a Sony.
Okay. And it's not a Trinitron.
I'll send you a picture. It's pre-Trinitron. It's older than that.
Yeah, if you wanted to send me a photo, I'll just add it in so everyone can see it.
Yeah.
I have a PVM at home that I have my RGB Famicom hooked up to, and the only thing I play on it is Gimmick.
That's awesome.
I love Gimmick so much. Can I get it? Oh,
Do you
yeah.
beat it?
Can I? Oh, yeah, I beat it. I went to the arcade that has Gimmick right now over in the Valley Fair Mall, and I beat it on 1 quarter.
Oh, that rules. I love that.
It's such a great game, and I've only gotten the bad ending once because I wanted to see it.
I didn't know there was still an arcade in Valley Fair.
Yeah, it's I don't know what they call it, but
it's the same one that's been there for the last few years.
I think so. The guy that traded my Polestar for a bootleg Magical Drop 2. It's all in either Spanish or Portuguese. I'm not sure.
Does he still have like prototype games in there? Because he used to have like weird. He had a weird one that you were like the director of a movie or something. He had some weird prototype games in there.
I don't know.
There is currently a Sega Time Hunter on Facebook Marketplace, and I want it so badly. Do you know about that game?
I don't know about.
It's a hologram game,
okay.
And the only one that I knew of in the state of Utah was located at Lagoon.
Oh, I know Time Hunter. Okay, yeah.
It was like I think that's what it's called, but it's Time Traveler.
Time something.
Time Traveler.
Time Cop.
But you look like you're playing as like little 5-inch miniature characters.
Yeah, and it looks like they're actually
it's a hologram.
on there.
Yeah, it's not really a hologram. It's a CRT reflected off of mirrors.
Yeah.
But the screen surface has got little wooden globes and pyramids and stuff on it, so it really gives the effect of actually being there. The guy wants it works, but he wants like $4,500, and it's in pretty trash condition.
That's a lot of bucks.
It is a lot of bucks. If I had all the things.
Yeah, I don't know.
What would I buy right now if I had to have anything cool retro video games?
Yeah, if you could pick
If
one
I could
thing.
pick one thing.
And then you could actually find it.
Oh, I could find it.
Yeah, well.
Come on now.
You say to anything?
To anything. There's nothing I couldn't get my hands on. If money was no object, I could have it. I know people. I know that guy Asobi Quang in England. That guy was the bane of my existence forever because he had everything. He had the Dreamcast TV. I always wanted a Dreamcast TV. I always wanted the CDM1 Iowa, the Iowa little boombox that also played Sega Genesis.
Oh yeah. You
and
don't see those
Sega
ever.
CD games. No, ever. And they usually sell for thousands and thousands of dollars, and it's literally just a little blue boombox.
Yeah, that's a lot of
Those
money.
that was always a grail. A Dreamcast TV would have been super cool. I'd love to get my hands on one of the Sanyo Nintendo TVs
What about one of those
broken off?
Hotel NESs or whatever?
One of the black boxes?
Oh, I'm gonna die here. How do I get up there?
I really don't know. The Hotel NESs.
There we go.
Like the black boxes that had the.
It was like you put like 10 cartridges in it, and then it's like it was designed for rentals.
Yeah.
They had like a special one, right?
I'd love anything obscure in NES. I'd love to have some of my old stuff back. I'm not gonna lie. Some of it was cool.
Do you miss it sometimes?
Yes and no. I don't regret it, but I miss it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, regretting and missing aren't the same thing.
Yeah, I have no regrets with selling my collection. If I do regret not selling it 6 months later when I could have made probably double what I did.
Yeah, so you have to go through the water one. But since you don't have the input lag, if you go under that first boat, you can just swim underneath all of it and skip the whole level.
Because I sold in April of 2021 or in March of 2021. And if I had waited 6 more months, my collection was probably worth
like twice
another
as much.
30% more. Holy crap. That was impressive.
Yeah, dude. That was clutch. Yeah, because COVID just it ballooned the prices of everything.
Really did. And
because everybody was stuck at home.
And everybody had that good extra money too.
That's true. Yeah, like the stimulus money.
The stimulus money.
We're paying for it now though. Like
everything
is so expensive.
I had I got let go of my career of 13 years, and so I was on unemployment. Plus, I got an extra like $500 a week, which was rad.
You're not with the trucking company anymore.
I haven't worked for Freightliner since 2020.
Who are you with now?
I work for the world's largest equipment auction company, Ritchie Brothers.
Ritchie Brothers.
We are traded on the stock market. We are a $10 billion company, and
nice.
I work in my basement and handle corporate disputes. I was the manager of the yard in Salt Lake they say Salt Lake, it's out in Lake Point, but I was the manager of the yard for a couple of years, and then my position came up, and my boss lives in Atlanta, and I've never met him in person in over 2 years, and I work whatever hours I want, and I work in my basement. Most days I work from 5 in the morning till 1 in the afternoon, and I have the rest of the day to do whatever I wish to do with.
That sounds delightful.
It is kind of fantastic.
I'm going to cheese this level super hard.
I remember this. Love that.
I hope I went far enough. I'm not 100% sure. Let's see if I die right here. I went far enough.
So yeah, I handle disputes for heavy equipment. If you buy an excavator for $300,000 and you get a home and it's not what we said it was, it's a different model or something doesn't work on it, I probably am going to hear about it.
Some sort of gripe.
Yep. I work for a fantastic company.
Oh, I do. Dude, that's awesome, man. And
yeah. I've been there for 2 years. No, like 4 years now.
Yeah, you said like 2021, so yeah.
Yeah, it's like 4 years. 4 years. 2 years in my current position, 2 years in my prior position with the company.
Right on.
I'm glad I don't have to commute. I was commuting 45 minutes a day.
So you said you're working from home?
I work in my basement next to my Nintendo. And I can play video games whenever I want.
Do you miss like chatting with coworkers?
I totally get the insanity. There's days where I'll just I'll sing real loud. I have a really killer sound setup, and I have an Onkyo big setup with a powered subwoofer in my game room, and so
nice. You do like the karaoke games and stuff, and it sounds good.
I do miss my PSX. And I had a real PSX, not just calling a PlayStation 1 PSX. That
I
always
know
bugged
what you
me.
mean with the hard
That always
drive.
bugged me. Yeah, mine
had
had
some-
like
You had TV saved
13
on there.
hours of hospital dramas that were hilarious, and just I loved it for the car commercials because
that was the one
Is it
thing
this
in your
one?
collection. Yeah, on any of them. You can do it on any of them. You just gotta wait till it's at the top, and then you go down about 2 seconds, and then now go down a little lower. Go.
So
Yeah. And
yeah.
the one thing in your collection that I was really bummed out that you sold was that
they're
PSX.
glass on the inside. Finding them
believe it.
isn't that hard. Finding them that work and have actual shows and stuff on them, that's
Right.
tough. It's kind of like an
What do they go for these days?
the Panasonic Q.
Oh,
You can find a
God.
Panasonic Q, but finding one that works,
The thing about the
That's
Panasonic
tough.
Q is that
the guts are made out of glass. I
well,
swear.
they're designed to be punishing for repair techs. So you have to go left and then hold up when you're jumping, and at its lowest point you can get over. There you go. Yeah. So I often have people ask me like, "Hey, is this too much to pay for a Panasonic Q?" And the first thing I always ask is like, "Is it working?" Because if it's not working, it could be $5. I'd pass on it.
And is it working right now, or was it working a month ago?
Right, because you got to test them. Because I've watched a teardown video.
I tell people that people hit me up for Game Gears, and I was like, "Has it been recapped?" And they're like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Cool, it needs recap."
Yeah,
or
it does.
Or Turbo Express or a PC Engine. I always wanted a PC Engine GT. I never owned one.
Those are awesome, man. They do
I mean, same thing as an Express, but
Yeah, but aren't the Japanese ones actually region free?
all TurboGrafx region free.
No, most not the
No,
standalones.
I'm thinking.
Like the actual consoles are region locked.
Yeah.
They've got they did this thing where it's not only locked by a chip that you can bypass, right? But on top of that, the pins on the cue cards are flipped.
And you think the GT
except
is?
for two in
You
the
think
middle.
the GT will play both?
I'm not sure. I feel like I've heard that, but I could be just completely.
The
pulling that out
CDs
of
are
nowhere.
region free.
That makes sense.
The Turbo CD stuff is region free.
I know that the
'Cause
TurboGrafx
I
attachment.
had a Duo R. The white.
Oh,
the
those
white
are region
Duo R.
free. Yeah.
Yeah, the Duo R was
I think
rad.
the TurboGrafx
giving
attachment
up?
on the analog is region free. But yeah, let's go ahead and call that a
I
day.
love it.
We are at just a little over an hour and 10 minutes, and I think that was a successful
I
conversation.
love that.
I really
Thank you for having me
enjoyed-
on.
Yeah. Thanks a bunch for
thanks
coming, man. And,
Anybody
like,
who watches or listens or however this goes out, it's a YouTube.
it's YouTube,
mostly,
yeah.
right?
So it'll be just.
I'm telling
just
you, take the
viewers.
audio, throw it up on Spotify. People listen
I
to
might
it.
do that, yeah. But again, like I really appreciate you coming out,
course.
man. It's been an absolute delight.
Always been a
chatting
fan of
with
your
ya.
store. Anytime I see anything good, it always gets copied and sent over to URG. I know that. I've always been a supporter of Mike and everything he does. If anybody's ever looking for video games, go into Game Changers. Tell him Gabe sent you.
Hell yeah!
Because
And
that has always worked. I've never had somebody say that they didn't get 10% off or whatever.
Oh, you always get the homeboy hookup.
If you get the
Always.
homeboy, if you mention my name, you drop my name, and that used to work at every game store. I loved back in the day when I was a rock star. I'd walk in and be like, "Wait, you're Gabe? You're the URG guy?" Loved it.
Well,
So much fun.
Maybe again in the future, but in the meantime, we'll still get the homeboy
We'll see.
hookup. And that reminds me, this episode is brought to you by Game Changerz in Salt Lake City. That's my store. Check it out online, gamechangers.com. That's with a Z instead of an S.
3309 South State.
Yeah.
Go in and tell them Gabe sent you for a discount, and you're probably going to find some cool. It's not just video games. You're going to find cool stuffies. You're going to find cool Japanese candies up by the register.
Cool
all
people.
sorts of stuff. By
Yeah.
far the most diversely, lots of cool stuff. Just go in there and cool people hang out.
Heck yeah, man.